Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared, sharp betting information.
Welcome back to podcast 29 of 2019. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can tweet us at the Odds Breakers or follow us on social media /the Odds Breakers. If you'd like to contribute to this podcast, if you're a handicapper, like to get your name out there, please contact us via the website or via Twitter, and we can talk and see if there's anything you can do to help yourself out as well as to help us out as well. We would love to have you. This episode is being brought to you by 5dimes.eu. To become a 5Dimes member and get their amazing odds, including a promotion that reduces the juice, meaning you're paying minus 105 instead of minus 110, please visit the Oddsbreaker /5Dimes. Click on the banner. Please sign up, and terms and conditions apply. If you'd like to help us out and sponsor our podcast, we would love to help you out. Please visit the Oddsbreakers, click shop, and become a member for $12.99 a month. You'll get my picks and premium picks before the line moves. For $2 more, you can become a patron subscriber and get all that, plus the podcast a little bit early. If nothing else, please visit theoddsbreakers.com and become a free picks newsletter subscriber. We have a fantastic show for you today. We're going to go over some NFL season win totals in the AFC North and the AFC West. We're going to talk a little bit about the NHL and the NBA playoffs. First, I want to recap the Belmont a little bit. We did make a profit of $200 worth of bets. We got paid $285, and could have been a hell of a lot more if I just would have had Jovia finishing third. Now, Jovia was a horse that everybody was fading. Every single podcast I listened to, I made a trifecta bet on 50 cents that I had every horse in third except for this horse. And, of course, what happens? Jovia decides to screw me over and cost about $675. Now, if it was a dollar trifecta play, it would have been $1,250 of cost. So if I learned one thing, if you're just going to keep one horse out on such a small trifecta bet, even though you had 4 on the top, maybe 6 or 7 in the middle, then, you're really putting yourself at risk, because Jovia, the fact it was that horse that finished third, definitely made that trifecta pay a lot more than it could have. But we were happy that Sir Winston won. That was our horse that we picked. We played him horizontally on the win place in the show, and then we hit a nice exacta with him. 2 of them, actually, a $1 exacta and a $3 exacta. Boxed with the 10 horse, obviously, Tacitus, and the 7 horse. So real quickly, you can become a member of the website and get access to some of the pages as well as free subscriber picks. We were 7-1 until we gave out the first half of the Toronto Raptors and the full game of the Raptors, and now we are 7-3 because obviously they lost that game. Here's what's interesting about the NBA Finals and the NHL and these 7-game series is that I think Toronto should have took care of business at home, especially after seeing what happened to the St. Louis Blues when they were up 3-1. They go back home, they drop a game, and you figure, what the hell are you doing? Why are you letting yourself have to go back to Boston? I think there's some psychology here at work, because I've seen many times before when a team that is not used to winning, they happen to, as soon as they're at the very brink of winning, they choke, they blow it. Similar to how the Raptors finished that game, being up 4-6 points with 2-3 minutes left. They blew it. They couldn't hit a shot. There's some sort of mental aspect to that, as well as to handicapping. Now, I do not have the trend of how many times a team that hasn't won a championship ever, or maybe at least in over 10 or 20 years, how they perform when they're up 3-1 in a series going back home or going away. But if you do have that trend, I'd like you to tweet it at us at the Odds Breakers. I have access to lots of trends, but that is one I don't have because I do not have the filter if they haven't won a championship. So I would love to know that, but it kind of feels to me that when teams that are not used to winning are on the brink of it, there's some sort of a choke syndrome. And so that's what happened to my free play that I gave out a couple days back for the NBA. I thought the Raptors would take care of business, but apparently they couldn't, even when Kevin Durant got hurt. And, there's something to a team never winning and being on the brink of winning. And I think more times than not, they choke and give up the game. And this is kind of the same theory to teams that are favored that shouldn't have never been favored before to win games. A lot of times end up choking because all of a sudden the expectations are set to them and they almost, in a way, don't know what to do. Because these players know when they're favored. They pay attention, trust me. And so that's why a lot of times when they're dogs, they're extra motivated. But there's an aspect to that, and I fell into that trap a little bit because I thought that the Toronto Raptors would have saw what happened to the St. Louis Blues, but it wasn't even enough. I'm really curious to see what happens next. We'll probably still stick with my first half play, but I'm a little bit more reluctant to do it. Going to crunch the numbers, see where the value is. I'm guessing Golden State's going to be favored on the first half by 1 or 1.5 or something. That's just what I'm guessing. They're going back home to play this game. So we'll see where that line's at. Also, wanted to talk to you about some college value that we have found. The Five Dimes released some conference championship odds, at least for the Power Five on the NCAA football. And we found some serious value on some teams. And I got to tell you, Five Dimes, they have the best plus money on these futures compared to any other site. And if you want to bet some futures and don't have a Five Dimes account, I highly recommend it. That's why you should visit theoddsbreakers.com/Five Dimes and get the promotion, get the reduced juice option to obviously participate on these awesome lines, because we gave out some sick value to some of our members just last week. Spent a lot of time on Sunday capping some of these conferences, and there is some definite teams that are undervalued here. Let's just quick even look at the Big Ten here. Looking at the Big Ten to win the Big Ten Conference, you have Ohio State plus 110, Michigan plus 248, Penn State plus 10 or plus 1,000. That's 10-1. Wisconsin plus 1450, Nebraska plus 1800, Michigan State plus 2000, Iowa plus 2500, Northwestern plus 2750, Purdue plus 3500 or 35-1, Minnesota 50-1, Indiana 75-1, Maryland 75-1, Illinois 250-1, and Rutgers is 500-1 to win the Big Ten. There is some sick value in some of these teams, and if you'd like to become a member to get those plays, please visit theoddsbreakers.com, as I said before. You'll sponsor our podcast, and you'll get all of my premium plays. There is some value on some of these conferences. I already hit a few myself. I just cannot wait for the college football season to start. All right, let's get right into some NFL season win totals. And we have two conferences that we're going to cover, or two divisions within the AFC conference that we are going to cover, and that is the AFC North and the AFC West. All right, we're going to start with the AFC North here, all right? And I got to tell you, this division is the most up in the air division out of, I think, all of them. Out of all 8 divisions in the NFL, this one, I think, is the most wide open, okay? The AFC North has to play the NFC West, so there's some travel there. And then they get to play the NFC East throughout their schedules. So this, I guess even though the West, you have the Cardinals out there, which is great. The AFC East, you have, your typical Buffalo, New York Jets, and of course Miami. And being that, I think the schedule is actually pretty easy, right? It's looked at as being easy by the analysts. Now, Cleveland should be a little bit better, right? According to what everyone's saying and the Vegas win total, but you still have Cincinnati there that has absolutely no defense. And Pittsburgh took a little bit of a hit losing some star players. I still think that, the division's going to be stronger, but the schedule, according to most people, like I said, looks pretty weak. Cleveland's got some new toys. We'll see what happens to the Ravens with their quarterback. Let's start with the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens have a Vegas win total of 8. And last year, they won the division and actually won 10 games, sending poor Pittsburgh into missing the playoffs. Pittsburgh certainly wasn't used to that. It was tough on them. Looking at their at-large games being in first place, they have a medium schedule, and they're playing Houston and Kansas City. They're playing the best out of the NFC or the AFC South and the best out of the AFC West. Their key losses: inside linebacker C.J. Mosley, outside linebacker Zadarius Smith, wide receiver John Brown, safety Eric Weddle, outside linebacker Terrell Suggs, and quarterback Joe Flacco. That's a lot. That's a lot of players, some serious players last year. Okay? Key additions: safety Earl Thomas from Seattle, running back Mark Ingram came from the Saints, and cornerback Justin Bethel that came from the Arizona Cardinals, whom they drafted. Wide receiver Marquise Brown, outside linebacker Jalen Ferguson, wide receiver Miles Boykin, running back Justice Hill, guard Ben Powers, quarterback Tracy McSorley, defensive tackle Dayton Mack. So here's the summary. This looks like another tale of a team that lost a ton and really didn't make up for it in the offseason. I think the only real player that I'm excited about is Earl Thomas. Mark Ingram's good. Justin Bethel's good. But losing their main linebacker like C.J. Mosley, their edge rushers Smith and Suggs, their quarterback Joe Flacco that won a Super Bowl, their best receiver as of last year, John Brown, Eric Weddle, man, they lost a ton. Okay? So I don't think these players were properly replaced. And I'm very concerned for the first time ever on their defense. I've never been concerned about Baltimore Ravens defense until this year. Now, I do like Earl Thomas, but he has this guy, Earl Thomas, he kind of, the way he played in Seattle, he has Baltimore Raven written all over him. But he's also just a kind of a small upgrade to Eric Weddle because he was so good. On the other hand, you've seen that GM Eric DeCosta, John Harbaugh wanted to focus on the offense, drafting guys like Marquise Brown, Justice Hill, Miles Boykin, Ben Powers. Okay? And, doing that's going to help the offense, I think, in a little bit for the running game, but I'm just going to come right out and say it. I don't believe that Lamar Jackson's an NFL quarterback. And I said that last year. I wouldn't be shocked by mid-season to see some controversy and to see Trace McSorley